lifts at the sails, and the water starts to churn as a terrible storm rocks the ship from side to side to side. It is a tempest. As the ship is tossed on the waves, the ship catches on fire. Abandon ship! Abandon ship! Abandon ship! On a cliff, commanding the storm, is a powerful magician named Prospero. Prospero is a nobleman who was stranded on this desert island with his 15-year-old daughter, Miranda. Miranda has seen the strange and sudden storm and runs to find her father. She throws herself at his feet and pleads, "Father, make it stop, please." "Oh, they're fine. Don't worry about it," calms Prospero. "But why, Father? Why did you make this terrible storm?" "My enemies were on that ship, my dear, and soon they will be on this island." "Your enemies? What enemies?" And Prospero sits Miranda down and decides to tell her life story. "When you were just a baby, we lived in Milan, the finest city in the world, known for its education and the arts. I studied magic and ruled my people well." "Ruled?" "Yes, I was the ruler there, a duke, a prince of power. And you were no less a princess. But my brother, your Uncle Antonio, was very jealous of me. He wanted to be the Duke of Milan instead. So he tippy-toed over to the nearby city of Naples and made a deal with the King of Naples, King Alonso. He gave this King Alonso a lot of money. And said, "I want you to kill my brother Prospero and make me the ruler of Milan." "I don't know." "Come on, okay." "Great," says Antonio, and they shake on it. In the middle of the night, this King Alonso sent his guards to kidnap us. You were not yet 3 years old. They threw us in a leaky boat in the middle of the sea and left us there to sink. But we didn't sink. No, we didn't sink. But they think we sunk. And now my brother Antonio is the Duke of Milan, and he sits on my throne." Miranda says, "But how come we didn't die?" "There was a man with a gray beard, old Lord Gonzalo, who worked for this king. When he saw your tiny face, pity melted his heart. So he snuck food, water, and clothes, and my magic books into our little boat, and we made it to this island. Today, fate has brought all these men to us, for they were on that ship, my dear, and are swimming to this island as we speak. Wow. But now, sleep will fall upon you. Close each eye. The island sings to you a lullaby. When Miranda is asleep, Prospero calls for Ariel. Ariel is a water nymph of the island. And Ariel appears. Now, Ariel is a spirit of the air who was trapped in a tree trunk for 12 years by an evil witch. When Prospero got to the island, he heard Ariel crying and freed her from the tree with his powerful magic. Ariel has been Prospero's servant now for 12 years, and Prospero has promised to free her. But first, he wants to know about the Tempest. Prospero asks, "How did it go?" "Perfectly, master. I turned myself into a magic fire and leapt all over the ship. The noblemen were so scared that they jumped overboard. They have all swum to the island, and I've split them all up. The king's son is alone, his arms in a sad knot. And how of the ship and the sailors too? Safely in harbor, both the ship and crew. Well done, my Ariel. I shall free you soon for this. On another part of the island, the King of Naples, King Alonso, crawls up onto the shore with his wicked brother Sebastian and the good old Lord Gonzalo. With them, also crawling out of the water, is Antonio, Prospero's wicked brother. King Alonso is very sad, thinking that his son, the prince, has been drowned in the Tempest. Old Lord Gonzalo tries to comfort him. Ariel, the spirit, sees this and magically puts the king and Lord Gonzalo into a comforting sleep. However, while they are sleeping, Antonio, Prospero's wicked brother, convinces his friend Sebastian, the king's wicked brother, to kill the king. He says, hey, it worked for me. I am now the powerful Duke of Milan. You could be the powerful King of Naples if you kill your brother here. But Sebastian says, well, I don't know. Come on. Okay. So they drew their swords and held them up, hold them up over the sleeping king and Gonzalo, ready to strike. But invisible Ariel, the fairy, sings into the ear of old Lord Gonzalo, if of life you have a care, shake off slumber and beware. Awake, 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 awake. One, two, three. Wake up, my lord, wake up. What's going on? Why are you men drawn? We heard a bear. On another part of the island, there is a fish-like, stinky monster called Caliban. Caliban hauls wood, washes pots and pans, and does other chores for Prospero. Caliban doesn't like Prospero because Caliban wants to marry Miranda. And Prospero won't let him marry Miranda. So Caliban must gather heavy wood. Caliban doesn't like it. Caliban throws wood down. Then he hears something. Oh no, it must be Prospero's spirits at fairy sent to pinch Caliban for being lazy. Caliban hides himself under a big blanket. Then the king's court jester, Trinculo, runs onto the beach. He was on the ship too, but now he can't find anybody. He is alone. He is freaking out. He is scared because there's still some thunder from the storm happening. He's afraid he's going to get struck by lightning. He looks around for shelter. There's a blanket covering up a stinky dead fish, or maybe an islander who died. Trinculo has no choice. He crawls under the blanket and lies on top of Caliban. As they lie there, both under the blanket, shaking with fear. On comes Stefano, Trinculo's friend, who is a butler to the king. Stefano has washed up on shore and is a little dizzy because he has drunk a lot of seawater and also a lot of grape juice. Yes, he found bottles of this grape juice that washed up in a crate from the ship, so he's very happy. Oh yeah. He discovers Trinculo with the monster Caliban under the blanket, and he thinks it's hilarious. He puts his bottle of grape juice over on a rock and pulls Trinculo out by the feet. They are so happy to find each other that they do a little happy dance. But then they stop, too dizzy. Stefano gives them both some grape juice, which they all enjoy very much. especially Caliban. Then Caliban leaps to his feet. Caliban tells them Caliban doesn't want to work for Prospero anymore. Caliban wants to work for Stefano. Stefano is a god to Caliban because Stefano gives Caliban the grape juice Caliban likes. Stefano likes being worshipped by this fish-like monster. But Caliban says, only one problem. Prospero will be really mad at Caliban, so Stefano is going to have to kill Prospero. Oh my word, I don't know. Come on. All right. So Caliban howls with delight and sings, no more nets I'll set for fish, won't scrape a pan nor wash a dish. Ban, Caliban has a new master, got a new man. Freedom, freedom, happy day. Oh, brave monster, lead the way. On another part of the island, we find the king's son, the handsome prince. His name is Ferdinand. Ferdinand thinks his father is drowned and is very sad. Suddenly, he hears the invisible Ariel and the spirits of the island singing that his father is lying down deep under the water, 5 fathoms deep, and that his eyes are now pearls and his bones are made of coral, like a decorated skeleton lying on the ocean floor. They sing, everything the sea has changed into something rich and strange. They trick Ferdinand into following them. Ferdinand lands on the shore and sees Miranda. Miranda sees Ferdinand, and they instantly fall in love. Ferdinand proclaims, if you're not married already. Ferdinand tries to resist and pulls his long sword, but Prospero uses magic and makes his sword so heavy that he can't lift it, and it drops to the ground. Prospero then makes Ferdinand carry heavy logs and sticks for firewood. He makes him carry them all day, back and forth. He has to put them in a big pile. While he works, Miranda comes and tries to help him, but he says, it's okay, I got it. This isn't even heavy, no problem. He's very nice to her. They talk as he works, and they get along really well. Prospero watches them and realizes their love is true. Miranda can't take it anymore. She drops to her knees and cries, will you marry me? Ferdinand drops to his knees and says, I will, yes! Prospero says, easy. So Miranda and Ferdinand shake on him. Meanwhile, Ariel is leaving Caliban, Trinculo, and Stefano all over the island, up and down, and up and down, and up and down, and freeze! You see, Ariel knows that they want to kill Prospero. Ariel doesn't want them to kill Prospero, so Ariel drops them into a muddy pond. And go! They're covered in filth and mud. Trinculo says, I smell like horse piss, monster. Like horse piss. I don't know if I can take much more of this. Suddenly, they spy some fancy clothes just hanging off the trees near Prospero's cave. They run to the trees. Trinculo says, hey, let's put these things on, Stefano. Ooh, they're quite lovely. How do I look, Trinculo? Caliban says, Prelude, speak softly. We don't want to wake him. We're near his cave. Now draw your swords to take him. Remember that you'll rule this island, master. Go kill him now. I will. Go kill him faster. Trinculo says, I love it. It's so me. It's true. I'm glorious. Oh, here. This one's for you. Suddenly, the trees crouch and turn into wild, growling dogs. Do you hear something? Run! finally says to Ferdinand, "You've passed my test. Sorry I had to put you through all that. But now I will let you marry my daughter." Sit down, we will have a feast, and I will provide the entertainment. Then Prospero conjures several beautiful goddesses who come down from the sky and bless the engagement. As Ferdinand watches in wonder at this magic, they dance. Even seeing his daughter's happiness, Prospero has not forgotten the evil men on the island who tried to have him and his baby drowned those 12 long years ago. Using his magic, Prospero has phantom spirits present food and drink for the hungry and exhausted men. The men cannot believe their eyes. Suspicious as they are, their hunger overtakes them, and they approach the feast. But just as they are about to eat, the food is snatched away, and Ariel appears as a wild harpy. You are 3 men of sin, whom destiny hath belched up, being most unfit to live. And she rushes off. A terrible spell is put on the men, who immediately draw their swords and beat off imaginary attacks of spirits and ghosts created only by their own guilty consciences. Old Gonzalo is also under the spell, but in his innocence only weeps for the others. Prospero begs the spirits of the sky to give him the strength for one last powerful charm. He promises that he will break his magic staff if they help him this one last time. As his wish is granted, he feels a burst of energy like lightning surging through him. Electricity is in the air. His staff starts to vibrate, and using its power, he draws a magic circle circled around it, trapping the men. Prospero looks at them all in the circle with sorrow and anger. His brother Antonio, whom he had loved but who had paid to have him murdered, King Alonso, who almost drowned him and his baby, and Sebastian, the king's wicked brother. As he sees them tormented and suffering, he thinks of what he will do to take his revenge. Ariel also sees the men in the circle suffering, and she tells Prospero that if she were human, she would feel sorry for them and would forgive them if she were human. Prospero is so surprised by this that a creature of the air would feel more pity than he would, he who is human and should have mercy for his fellow man, that he decides he will put aside his anger and his plots of revenge, and indeed forgive them. He then removes the spell, releases the men from the magic circle, and reveals himself as Prospero, the real Duke of Milan. They are astonished to see that he's alive. Prospero turns and forgives his brother and gives a grateful hug to the astonished Lord Gonzalo, who weeps again with joy. The king falls to his knees and sincerely begs for forgiveness. Just then, a muddy, wet, and sore Caliban, Stefano, and Trinculo limped on. They've been chased by spirits and pinched and poked. They are very sorry for plotting to kill Prospero. Prospero thinks they've suffered enough, and so he forgives them all too, even Caliban. Finally, Prospero says he has a surprise for the king and reveals Ferdinand and Miranda. When the king sees his son is alive, he is overcome with joy. Ferdinand is amazed to see his father alive. He rushes into his father's open arms and they embrace, each so glad the other isn't drowned after all. Ferdinand then introduces the beautiful Miranda to his father. As she sees all the men, Miranda exclaims, "Oh, wonder, how many goodly creatures are there here! How beauteous mankind is! Oh, brave new world that has such people in it." Prospero invites them all into the cave for a feast before they all set sail back to Naples, where they will have a huge wedding. Outside, Prospero calls one last time for Ariel. He thanks the spirit, says goodbye, and sets Ariel free. And breaks it.
Now my charms are all o'erthrown, and with strength I have I know, which is most faint. Now I want spirits to enforce, arts to enchant, so release us from our bands with the help of the other hand.
when we're supposed to go up on, don't you, Tina?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go. But go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead, Dave, if you want to.